Okay. I think we are live. Jen, our producer, is about to tell us that. And I think we are, Ashley. And, I wanted everyone to see because, when we went to law school, right, we were like pushing women to go to law school. And here we are, right, trying major cases.
Yep.
And if anyone wants anyone to mentor them, I'm going to volunteer, Ashley.
That's okay. Yes, no, I love it. I think it's great. And we have like an ethics class and an opinion today. So.
Oh, wow. That's right. So I want to go through two things, but the main thing was the opinion this morning. This morning, we found that the Georgia Supreme Court, much to our surprise, had issued an opinion in a case that you were lead counsel in called Steele versus the state. Now, let me remind our viewers that Michael Steele in the YSL, Brian Steele in the YSL case, I keep calling him Michael. I don't know. I think it's politics. Brian Steele in the YSL case represents Jeffrey Williams, who is a young thug YSL himself. And there was earlier in the trial, before we had a new judge, Judge Paige Whitaker, we had Judge Glanville, and he found Mr. Steele in contempt because Judge Glanville was meeting with the prosecutors and a witness, a very important witness, Little Woody, behind closed doors, not telling the defense. The defense learned of it, and Judge Glanville demanded to learn from Brian Steele who his source was, and Brian Steele said, no, that's attorney-client privilege, and refused to reveal it. Short story is that what happened, yes, Ashley is the GOAT. No doubt about that. Short story is that Judge Glanville found Brian Steele in contempt, right there in contempt, ordered him to jail for the weekend, and he could serve it on weekends with his client, by the way. And it was actually one funny part when he said, well, can I confer with my client on the case? They said, yes, but that was stayed. So I want you to give us a little more of the history I didn't give us, and then tell us what this opinion did from the Georgia Supreme Court. I've been following all of our people watching this, and you see there's a lot of congratulations going
thank you all. It's been a good
What happened? What happened? Steele versus the state.
Yeah, so it's an interesting case, but I know a lot of folks have been following the YSL trial, and so this is one of the little subsets of the YSL trial. So Brian Steele represents young thug Jeffrey Williams, and he wouldn't essentially divulge a source. So, there was this ex parte meeting that shouldn't have happened anyway. He objects, he moves for a mistrial, which is his job. If he had not moved for a mistrial, it wouldn't have been a record preserved. He wouldn't have been doing his job. And the judge got really mad and wanted to know who told you. Basically, instead of I messed up, judge, who told you? Who told you I messed up? And just kept demanding, And Judge Glanville, if you know him, and I've been practicing in front of him for 20 years. He is a military judge also. So when Judge Glanville demands, it's more like an order because he's used to being a military judge and he's used to commanding troops. And I mean, he's a very decorated war veteran, but in the courtroom, he can be scary. So he's telling Brian, you have to disclose this. You have to disclose this. And Brian said, I can't. It's confidential. Refused to. And so the judge held him in contempt. He actually took him back in the back and then let him out so he could represent his client for a little bit, and then said, we're going to resume this hearing later. And so that's when I hightailed it down there. And we had a lot of members in the community because, we all love Brian and support him. And all of the people in this trial, they've just really been going through it with this trial. So we're happy to support them and went down and helped. And at the time, Judge Glanville did not agree with us. So I think that's important to note. We were saying this is what the law is. This is what you should do. You should step aside and let another judge hear this. And he said, no, I'm going to do this. And we said, that's not due process. And we appealed it. And the Supreme Court this morning said we were right. So
that was an interesting procedural history. They said you were right, but I thought it was set for oral argument.
It was. Oh my gosh. Yes. So very interesting turn of events. Glad you brought that up. So it was set for today for oral arguments. And then about 2 weeks ago, we got a notice that said it was being moved to December. So we're like, okay, when in December, we had sort of a rough estimate. So we thought, any day we would be getting an order saying when it's going to be heard. Instead, last night, one of our team members saw online, our Supreme Court publishes the night before forthcoming opinions. So it's like, for us law geeks, it's like, oh, we get an opinion tomorrow. And so everybody's like, wait, Brian Steele's opinion is going to be tomorrow. And so we all started, just checking, like, is it really coming out? And so the day that we were supposed to have oral arguments originally is when we got the opinion. So that's the court saying we didn't even need to hear anything. We don't need oral arguments. We got this. We got enough. This is definitely wrong.
Well, you see that all the viewers that are
I
following
know
this, and
they're
it does
so
have
encouraging. I love it because
right. There's more. We're trying to get them all up. There's even more on the
it's
chat.
awesome
That's
because if
very
you watched any of yesterday, you know that normally in court it's not always that type of comments.
I am going to morph a little bit. I know we got you on for this opinion, and you can go read it on the Georgia Supreme Court site. It's S24A1245, S24A1245, Steele versus the state. I believe my Twitter, X Twitter, I should say, in case people calling it Twitter and calling it X, posted it, and of course, Ashley, I believe you posted it on your X Twitter. And of course, everyone's giving you congratulations on it. Now, we have nicknamed you, Michael Bryan and I here on Justice Sir, we have nicknamed you the Fonnie Willis's worst nightmare, just so you know. And so I'm going to morph into the fact that we've been watching for 2 days, right? In the middle of trying to do my own work, which is very difficult because you and your husband were in court yesterday on another case kind of related to the Fonnie Willis office, and that's who's prosecuting YSL. And by the way, they didn't really step in here when Brian Steele's case and say, no, judge, no, no, no. As a matter of fact, my feeling is they actually caused it and have some other issues meeting with witnesses behind the scenes with the judge. Yeah. That's for another day, and I hope that there's an investigation into that by more than just the defense bar, because we always get stopped. All right, but you were in court trying to get having a hearing on the public records, the FOIA request that you talked to us about a couple of weeks ago. In the I will say in the politics, right, in the political case involving that T word, right? You represent who, and what was this hearing about?
So I represent one of the people charged in the election interference case, and I started digging around in regards to that case, but it was much bigger than that. And so a lot of people try to lump my open records request with that case. And that was just a really small subset. I mean, I've been doing open records requests my entire life. Like, this is something that I've always done and use them to gain information. I'm always curious. I'm a taxpayer. I'm always curious how, taxpayer funds are being spent. So I did a series of open records requests that I didn't really think were that controversial. And found out that apparently anything that I request is controversial.
Right. We learned that apparently if you request something, Mr. Bond, who is the records custodian for, I guess it was Fonnie Willis's office, who was in the YSL case, that's why we're kind of linking this today, has a rule, the Ashley Merchant rule. What is that? And is that legal?
No, it's not legal. And apparently, and I didn't know this, but apparently the Ashley Merchant rule is that you're going to interpret every single thing I ask for to be no responsive documents. Whatever, if I ask for something, you're going to interpret it in any way possible that says I'm not giving you documents. So, it's one of those things where if you ask, can I have a copy of the blue paper, that, saying, oh, well, the paper is it's tinged in teal. It's not blue. So you didn't ask for the blue paper, we're literally arguing over that. That's what we're arguing about. But that's really what it came down to. I was asking for things that, can I get a copy of the lists of when lawyers were hired, with their names and dates of hire? Oh, well, we don't compile a list that looks like that. So they were telling me they didn't have a list of all the lawyers that worked in their office, just because I asked for that plus the date of hires. It's like interpreting things like that are really basic requests, but just really being obstinate and trying to, harass me. But what was ironic is they turned it around and said, because I kept asking for this stuff, I was being harassing. I was the one that was harassing because I kept persisting. And, my persistence apparently is difficult and harassing. And that's what the prosecution was arguing. But luckily the judge said open records, you can't mess around with it. You're a public agency. You've got to give open records. And it's important. And honestly, open records are really important. They're important to the news. They're important to lawyers. They're important to citizens. If you want to know what's going on with your local school board, or your mayor's office, how are they spending their money? Do an open records. You're entitled to those documents. And so I really feel strongly that when the government is hiding, that's when we really need to step up our actions.
Yeah, the judge kind of at the end, I said, why I think she felt that she'd been a little too hard on the person representing the Fonnie Willis's office at the end, and backtracked a little bit, I thought, and said, well, I apologize if I was hard on you, but right. These records are I thought she felt, my feeling is she was frustrated herself because she couldn't get an answer to her questions. I mean, I'm watching it, and this is the judge. Now we go back to Judge Glanville. He wants an answer to a question from an attorney that has attorney-client privilege representing his client. So, but this is this is her office, and so that's why people are interested, I think, in the public records request, not because it impinges a little bit possibly on the political, but because of the YSL case. So, what is your view on the two?
I mean, I think they're related because, one of the main documents that I was trying to get is this media monitoring company. So that's the thing that, it's kind of hard to explain because it's sort of detailed, but essentially Fani Willis was paying this company. She paid him for 2 years. She paid him $10,000 a year to monitor her media. And that was monitoring social media. It was monitoring positive things, negative things. So she would use that to sort of track these charges and determine if the public liked them. So just for example, right now we have a lot of outcry against the YSL case. Well, that would be something that she would have monitored under this company to say, oh, maybe I should bring these charges. Maybe I shouldn't bring these charges, things like that. So she's using taxpayer dollars to monitor all this stuff, to monitor her media presence. And one of the graphs that I was trying to get, this is one of the graphs that, we took a lawsuit to get. They actually had a dollar value on her name. So the company they were paying could tell them how much the name Fani Willis that week was worth in advertising dollars and PR.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Those are the graphs that they were trying to keep from us. So they were trying to figure out how much good press she was getting and what the dollar value on her name was. And this is a public contract. This is government taxpayer money, and meanwhile, personally, like I'm a defense lawyer. Like we've got people that are dying from bed bugs in the jail. Like you can't buy bed bug spray at the jail, but you're paying $10,000 to monitor your name, like how good your name is. I mean, that to me there are literally people in the jail dying.
And then they try to turn around. What got me with that point is they try to turn around and say something to the effect that the only reason why the merchant law firm put in Madam Fani Willis into a complaint and sue them is so the merchant law firm could get press and media. I was like, wait, where am I living in bizarro world here?
It's insane to me because anybody who knows me knows that I'm very transparent. And I'm like you. I like to talk about the law. I like to explain it. If a kid in the neighborhood wants to find out what a grand jury is, I'm going to tell them. Like, I think that that's part of our duty as lawyers to sort of educate people on it and make it very accessible to people not involved in the law. So I always welcome talking to the news. Like, I think we should. Like, I think that we should. I think we should explain it. I think we should be very transparent with it. And that always gets flung in my face. And, it's ironic because I know it's the one thing that they've got that they can always say, well, I'm doing it for media attention or something like that. Anybody who knows me knows that's ridiculous. I'm busy.
You don't need media attention.
Right, like I'm busy.
You know what? You get media attention because you win your cases, because you are, as one viewer point, the GOAT, because you are, as I tweeted today, the beast. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's why you get media attention, because you are, as somebody points out now, a hero. That's you win. You go against the government and you win. And it's not so easy to go against the government, isn't it? I think you had a team with Brian Steele, right?
We
that
did.
You want to give some credit to.
Yeah, we did. We had a whole team. So it's really cool. I'm part of this organization in Georgia. It's awesome. We call it GACTL. It's the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And, I'm just one of the people that went there. And I happen to be president right now. So it was meaningful for me to go and represent Brian Steele. But we had a team of lawyers drafting it. We had lawyers from GACTL working for free. And these are the best lawyers in the state. Working for free, writing Brian's brief. Then we had what's called an amicus, which, it's a friend of court brief from GACTL. I mean, there were people all over the nation that were filing these briefs in support. I mean, the effort was just tremendous. And so, it's really cool that there's so many people out there supporting it.
Yeah, and somebody points out that they saw you representing Ryan Duke. And I remember after you won that case, I interviewed you for Law and Crime, and I pushed for that interview with Law and Crime because usually people don't like, to have lawyers who represent defendants who, quote, get off, which is the most ridiculous term I always tell people. It's because they were, the burden of proof wasn't there, and maybe they're innocent. My client's innocent. But you actually did a lot of pro bono work, for instance, on that case. You went to the Georgia Supreme Court to get your expert paid for because the trial judge had, if I recall, had refused your expert. I mean, I followed these cases.
That's good memory. Yes, that was important.
Yeah. So,
and that's part of it, changing the law, making the law better for people.
Right. And you can't say, oh, I'm going to get good press. No one says they get good press by representing a defendant. That's just when your defense attorney, no. Maybe later on when they give you regard to say, yeah, you're pretty good at your job. But when you're in the heat of it, they all hate you. Right.
They hate you.
I'm
And
sure
they're going to sling whatever mud they can find.
Yeah, I'm sure Ryan Duke, you got the same kind of things that I got with Casey Anthony and all these other Phil Spector. People send you pictures of bullets through your head and the hate's unbelievable. But going back, Brian Steele. Now, can you say, was he happy, or can you say anything about his reaction?
My God, ecstatic. Yes. I mean, this is a black cloud that's been hanging over him for so long. I mean, if you look back when the Judge Glanville was going to lock him up, it was right before Father's Day. Brian's a dad. He's got a family. And think about, Linda, how taxing this trial is. He's in court every day fighting. I mean, everything. They are having to fight every little thing. So he needs his weekends. I mean, that's when they wanted to jail him. I mean, that's just insane to me. They were even contemplating that. But
I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. So
we were very happy for him and his family.
I'm sure that you were very happy. Okay. So I just want to say that Michael Bryan just texted me. He misses you, misses being on. He's stuck in traffic, and he knows that he's all behind us giving you. Oh my gosh, she is the YSL Barbie, but she's more than that. I'm a Barbie freak. I mean, I just bought the Barbie suit.
I know, I love that. So apparently that was on TikTok, and I'm a little bit. I mean, I just have TikTok, but I'm not like good with TikTok. But apparently YSL Barbie and my kids saw that, and so my daughter changed my name in her phone to that, and I was like, oh my God, she's a teenager. I mean, that's
but it's so great. It's so great because I know that you talk about the stress on Brian Steele, but the stress on you handling all these high profile cases with all of your other clients, what people understand that have to be handled at the same time. It's just amazing because you get results and just amazing. Now, what happens next on this contempt issue with Brian?
That's a good question. So if Judge Glanville wanted to pursue it, he could have another judge consider it, but I think that's unlikely. So if I had to say what my guess is, I think it's just going to go away. Because no one's really, these contempt things are interesting because nobody is really prosecuting them. So, there's no like victim out there who's saying, please go get this person. So I kind of think it's just going to go away, honestly.
Okay. That's great. I hope it does. I hope it really does. And thank you again. I know we went beyond the 5 minutes. I promise you.
You're fine.
Look at all this. Look at this. Somebody wants to run for DA. It's like, wow. Somebody said, well, it was too early. They made it difficult to see you. And they're glad they got to see you. Another one. You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT merchant for president.
I know. It's amazing. It's really awesome because it is tough. I mean, you mentioned it. Like I'm in court, and trust me, they don't have any problem slinging mud at me. Like no problem slinging mud at me in court. I've been called just about everything over the last year. And
you have family obligations of yourself. You've got children. You're a mother. You're a wife. You've got dogs. You've got you've got to get ready for Christmas with your kids. I mean, I say that, and I say that just because everyone has a normal life. The defense lawyers we interview, like Ashley, have a normal life that they want to attend to, not necessarily being in the media, not necessarily being in court, not necessarily being in every high profile case, because the taxing, how it taxes your personal life was what people don't understand. And maybe sometimes they don't care for, but I think they care for you.
But you understand.
Yeah, I get it. Ashley, thank you very much. I hope to see you soon. I mean, Doug Weinstein's going to be upset that he's not on with you. Because
I know he has a week off, so
he has a week off.
Back. Doug and I will be here.
I kind of did a TikTok just before you go, and I said, "Hey, Doug, you can jump on if you want to see her."
Oh my God, that would have been awesome. No, I'll
we'll set it up. We'll get it set up. Thanks, Ashley.
Have a good night. Thank you.
And for those of you who are still on, let me just tell you, Michael Bryan and I are going to actually tape another episode dealing with Sarah Boone tonight, and we'll have it on our YouTube page later with all the things that happened in court, because we know our first episode was a little rocky because of the Wi-Fi. So if you like, subscribe, share, you will get a notification when that goes up. and you'll be able to watch that episode. But in the meantime, like, subscribe, share, notify of this episode for Ashley Merchant. Thank you for watching. I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. As Michael Bryan would say, try to.
Yay, that was great.
I think we're still live, though. It says still live. Hi. And we are still live.